Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Avengers Infinity War. So this third installment in the Avengers franchise and 18th installment in the MCU follows the story of Thanos, who is basically a big purple alien who is trying to get all 6 Infinity Stones. And basically, these 6 stones, when put together, can basically control the universe in any way that the beholder wants to. And the Avengers, when they hear about this and notice that Thanos is trying to get all 6, they try to stop them with everything that they have. So they're basically tested beyond anything that they've ever been tested on before. Before, they had fought wars where the consequences were only going to affect the population of Earth. This time, they're fighting wars that affect the entire universe. And Avengers Infinity War, it goes without saying, I was so excited for this movie. I have loved the MCU for 10 years. It's 10 years old now, which is crazy to me because, honestly, it's the definition of my life so far. That sounds weird to say, but really, I can't remember a time before a Marvel movie wasn't in theaters. And it was the definition of my childhood. I was obsessed with it, and, every single year when a new Marvel movie comes out, it just feels like it's a natural thing that's supposed to happen. It's weird to say, but that's just how it feels. The MCU has always been in my life, and I've loved it since I got to see Iron Man, which was my first PG-13 movie ever. So I do have quite a bit of attachment to the to the MCU. So of course I would be excited for Avengers Infinity War, because this was really the culmination of all 10 years. It was 10 years of build-up really to I guess it's not directly to this movie because they probably didn't have the idea when they were first making Iron Man. Their idea was probably just towards the Avengers, but probably since 2010 or so, they've been planning on going forward and going into Infinity War when all 6 gems would be collected and the Avengers would have to fight something beyond them. So I was so excited for that, and on top of that, the trailers were great and everything, and I came out of Avengers Infinity War completely floored. This movie is incredible. It's emotional, it's entertaining, it's funny. It is really one of the best experiences I've ever had in a theater. The way that this movie juggles like 30 different characters is absolutely insane. That was the biggest concern I had heard from so many people going into this movie. That when you went into it with all the characters that were in it, that the movie would get overcrowded, kind of like Avengers Age of Ultron was. And honestly, I didn't think Avengers Age of Ultron was all that. All that cluster that a lot of people said. But I was a bit concerned about it with this one, considering just looking at the poster, looking at how many characters they were. But what's surprising is the way that Avengers Infinity War just flawlessly mashes up a bunch of different subplots and a bunch of different heroes in a really natural way. It never feels like, oh, we need to have this hero here right now, so we're going to show them right now, and we're going to find a way to maneuver it into the script. It all felt natural, which really does go to the Russo brothers for writing a great script. They wrote a script that just flows perfectly. From the moment the movie starts to the moment it ends, you never think about the world around you. You're just sucked purely into the movie because it just has a really nice flow. It's really entertaining, and it's just great to see a movie that doesn't overcrowd itself with 30 characters. Characters like Black Panther, who are main characters, have 5 or 6 lines of dialogue, and that's completely fine. In a movie like Batman v Superman, where Superman only has like 56 lines, that's an issue, but that's because one of the main characters is Superman. They don't feel the need to show certain characters just because that would appeal to the audience. They show characters, they develop characters based on how the story would fit best, and I really did enjoy that. And what's undeniably enjoyable about this movie is Thanos. He is just awesome. He is definitely the MCU's best villain. There's no doubt in my mind. Loki was good. He was great even. Ultron was good. He was fine. But definitely, for sure, Thanos is the best. He is menacing. He is big and strong. He does have a bit of an emotional side to him, and you do get to see that, but you also get to see how he repressed that side of him. And what's so scary is how his morals could be right. And what I mean by that is that his whole morals are to try to and overpopulation, really. And it's just a thing with organisms. I've learned it in biology this year, that when organisms are in a place, they start with small populations at first, they go rising up with an exponential curve, just population goes up like crazy, and then it levels out at the top or even falls down dramatically because there are death of organisms because of all the competition. And that's just true for all species. It could easily be true for humans, considering how fast population has grown in the past 200 years. It's a really deep and really sorrowful and depressing concept, and Thanos' whole idea is behind the fact that if he just snaps his fingers and kills half the universe, then maybe overpopulation wouldn't be an issue. And that's true. Obviously, that is not the way that you should deal with overpopulation. There are other ways, but his morals are there, and they're strong enough to the point that sometimes you see where he is coming from. He is still a madman, he is still a villain, and he works perfectly for that because he's still menacing, but he really does believe that what he's doing is right. And the way that they develop his character and why he would believe that throughout the movie is really, really strong. And the action sequences in this movie are incredible. The Russo brothers are great with action. They're really great with hand-to-hand combat and kind of like political themed action, like in The Winter Soldier or even Civil War. And usually that has to do with a lot of shaky cam. This one does not have that. It's a lot of really broad takes of action scenes or still cameras, and it works really well. And that's really why I want to go see it in XD, which is basically Cinemark's equivalent of IMAX, if you don't know. I really want to go see it in that because I've seen it twice. I'm seeing it a third time this weekend, and I really do want to see how the action shines on screen. Now, I do want to be able to get into spoilers because there is a lot about this movie that I want to talk about that is spoiler related, and it's hard to talk about this movie without getting into heavy spoilers because in the first 5 minutes, there's a spoiler. And it sounds contradictory because you can't have a spoiler in the first 5 minutes because it's when exposition is. But this movie does not follow a basic plot structure, which is another thing I love about it. It didn't feel the need to have a 3-act structure just because it was a movie. It was structured in the way that the story would work best. And one more thing before I get into spoilers that I really liked was the humor. I think that in a few situations, I don't like how the humor feels the need to interject itself and it really breaks the atmosphere, but for the most part, I really did love the humor and I thought that the movie was quite funny. The humor is always really strong in Marvel movies and it sticks true to here. In terms of issues with Infinity War, it's hard to really say any because I don't want to say that because it's a spoiler, but when I left the theater, my mind wasn't necessarily on the first 2 hours of the movie. It was on the last 30 minutes, and most of the problems are in the first 2 hours. You can say that at first it might be a little uninvolving or unengrossing, and you can't really fully get into it right away, but eventually you do. It's a really quick recovery time, and I really do enjoy this movie. I love it a lot, and I can recommend it to a lot of people to go and check out, which is why I will give Infinity War an 8.75 out of 10. Alright, I'm going to be talking spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, definitely go and check it out. Highly recommend it. I think that it's best for me personally because I've been a fan of the MCU for so long. If you haven't, I think you can still enjoy the movie, but it might not have the same emotional impact that it did on people like me who have loved the MCU for years. But I am going to get into spoilers, so click off the tab if you have not seen the movie. So, a couple of the big issues that people have mentioned are with the ending of the movie or just some of the more spoiler related topics. One of them is Star-Lord, who in the movie, when they're about to pull off Thanos' glove, he gets really angry and freaks out and starts punching Thanos. And because of that, he wakes back up and he starts getting really angry and he starts fighting them again. And a lot of people were saying, oh, I think it's really terrible how Star-Lord felt the need to just punch him, just let the emotions get the best of him, and then that led to them not winning and half of them dying, and that was an issue. The thing is, Doctor Strange did see the 14 million something different outcomes of their current situation, and one of them was one that they win. And the thing is, Doctor Strange, I think he's the most powerful one there that would be able to just throw Star-Lord aside and continue to interrogate Thanos, but he didn't is the thing. And I didn't catch his reactions during the scene because they didn't show them, but I'm pretty sure that if it was really such a big deal, he would have stopped Star-Lord. Also, at the same time, if they did get Thanos' glove off, he would eventually wake up, and I'm pretty sure he would just kill all of them really quickly. The thing is, a lot of people, another huge issue people brought up was the fact that Thanos had these super powerful gems and he didn't really use them to their fullest capacity. The thing is, I don't really see him and his whole plight to try and get the stones. I don't think that he was really trying to kill anyone during the movie. I'm gonna watch it again, and he does kill Loki, but that's after Loki threatens to stab him. And he does kill the Asgardian people, but that is while he's trying to interrogate and find the stone. And he doesn't really kill any of the Avengers, because I really do think that he could have had the possibility to, with even just a couple of the stones. He is a really strong, powerful guy, and even without the glove, I think that his own physical strength would have beaten the 6 of the people who were there, because early on in the movie, he fights the Hulk, and the Hulk is able to actually outdo him for a little bit until he outdoes the Hulk. And the Hulk many times has been shown to fight the Avengers, and he could easily kill all the Avengers if he wanted to. And maybe not all of them at once, but the 6 that were there, he could probably kill. And I think that if it was really such a big deal, Doctor Strange would have stopped him, and also at the same time, that would have angered Thanos to the point that he would want to kill all of them. And I do want to mention the ending. It's been talked about a lot for a good reason. This is a tragic ending. This is really, really depressing, because it's so weird to see heroes in a movie fail. It's just a thing that heroes usually win in movies. You want your heroes to win. You want them to defeat the villain. That's what you always want to happen, and that happens a lot in Marvel movies. But in this one, the heroes don't win. The villain wins. And when he snaps his fingers, at first you're kind of like, what's going on here? And then you realize that people are slowly starting to disintegrate. And, you know, when you see, I think that the most shocking one for me personally was Black Panther getting disintegrated, because I think that was intentional too, them making it shocking. Because one, his movie just made $208 million opening weekend, and they set it up so that he went over to the one woman, I forgot her name, and he says, "This is no place for you to die," and then he disintegrates himself, which I thought was really well done and honestly really shocking. I thought some of the other shocking ones were Star-Lord, considering he's the leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, considering his sequel coming out, Doctor Strange, and really seeing the deaths, I noticed one thing, that all of the new people died and that all of the old people stayed alive. So this is my own personal prediction for Avengers 4. I think that what's going to happen is that they are going to reverse time, like a lot of people have said, and I think that the group that they have, which includes like the Hulk, Black Widow, Captain America, Iron Man, you know, Thor, all the originals, and they'll probably include Ant-Man and Hawkeye in there, I think that they're going to have to sacrifice themselves in order to get all the new people back. Probably not Ant-Man, I would exclude him from that, and probably not the Hulk. I just don't see how the Hulk could, but I could easily see Thor, Cap, Iron Man. I think that they're all going to die in the next one, trying to avenge and bring back all those who have died. And I think that in the end, it's going to be Captain America and Iron Man, and they're going to look into each other's eyes, basically, and they're going to both have to make a sacrifice together that saves all the people and brings them back. And I think that's going to be a great way to tie up their plot lines because of how they fought in Civil War, how they weren't on speaking terms. I do think that that's the way Avengers 4 is going to go. That wasn't really a review necessarily. That was just thoughts that I wanted to get out about this movie. Really, as you know, because you've seen the movie and you don't care about spoilers because you already know them. This movie is really tragic and it's really amazing, and I can't wait to see it many more times in theaters, and I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray and watch it 100 times. This is really entertaining, it's tragic, and it's really the best way that this movie could have turned out. I'm so happy with the result of Infinity War, and I'm sure you are too, and if you are, let me know about it in the comment section below. But that concludes my review for Infinity War. So I am Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.